White supremacists, white nationalists, white identitarians. The far right pretends to serve the interests of the white race. They do not. I often see people claiming that the good guys lost World War II. I often see people defending Hitler. If you love the white race, Hitler should be your worst enemy. Hitler was not good for the white race. He was not even good for Germany. His policies resulted in the deaths of millions of Germans. His policies resulted in Germany being cut in half and used as a buffer state for decades. They were not pro-German and they were not pro-white. They were stupid and bloodthirsty. Hitler was a dictator. In his view, the Germans were too stupid to govern themselves. That is the kind of contempt he had for his supposedly superior race. He thought they were too stupid to have a say regarding their own government. He propagated radical thoughtlessness. Through rigorous indoctrination and harsh censorship, they promoted mindless obedience and crushed rational thought. Questions and criticisms could see you imprisoned, tortured, and killed. Nazi ideology was an ideology of radical thoughtlessness. They forced this authoritarianism on a people with a great intellectual history. They defiled and denigrated that intellectual history with a belief in radical thoughtlessness. There is nothing pro-white or pro-German about torturing and murdering white Germans for daring to criticize the government. There is nothing pro-white or pro-German about brutalizing and terrorizing the white German population, and using them as cannon fodder in a pointless war. That is what Hitler did. That is what far-right politics does. The beloved people are viewed as expendable pawns, worthless pieces on a chess set, cannon fodder. They are to be sacrificed in mass and thrown away like they are worth nothing. They are to be used as cannon fodder in pointless wars. They are just means to an end, tools for realizing the ambitions of a deranged autocrat. There is nothing pro-German or pro-white about that. Creating war and chaos, destroying the nation. Hitler started the Second World War. The Second World War subjected white people and German people to never-before-seen levels of death, suffering, and destruction. What is pro-white or pro-German about that? It is embarrassing that anyone could view Hitler as pro-white or pro-German. It is embarrassing that anyone could view Hitler as a friend of white people and German people. It is embarrassing that anyone could view far-right politics as pro-white or pro-German. This form of politics is a threat to everyone, including those it pretends to serve. This must be emphasized. Opposition to far-right politics must not be reliant on empathy for minority groups. It must be understood that far-right politics is a threat to the interests of everyone. The cruelty and bloodlust of far-right politics. The normalization of cruelty and brutality is a threat to all who can suffer. The corrosion of empathy and compassion is a threat to all who can suffer. Widespread desensitization to depravity is a threat to all who can suffer. Far-right politics is a threat to all who can suffer. We should concern ourselves with the well-being of others. The propagation of empathy and compassion is in the interest of all who can suffer. A society that opposes human suffering is in the interest of all who can suffer. In my view, it is important to remind people that the far right is not just a threat to minority groups. The far right is a threat to everyone. Far-right politics is a threat to everyone. The politics of Hitler and his ilk are a threat to everyone. This should never be forgotten. You should not oppose far-right politics exclusively because you have empathy for minorities. We should have empathy for minorities, but that is not all that is at play here. You should oppose far-right politics because far-right politics is a threat to everyone, including both minorities and yourself. Far-right politics does hurt some people more than others, but overall, it hurts everyone. It is a threat to the interests of all who can suffer. Hitler and the far-right ideology he followed are a threat to everyone, including the white race. Opposing far-right politics is in the interests of everyone, regardless of their personal identity. There is nothing pro-white about far-right politics. This form of politics is a cancer. It is a threat to everyone, including the people it pretends to serve. Far-right politics is not just a threat to minorities. Far-right politics is a threat to everyone who can suffer. Sure, you may escape the death camp, but you will be terrorized and brutalized by a totalitarian regime. But you will be used as cannon fodder in a pointless war. But you will be treated as a worthless, expendable pawn serving the ambitions of your leader. But you will get to live in a heartless, evil, cruel society. Far-right politics. A form of politics defined by authoritarianism, collectivism, tribalism, scapegoating, a love of war and violence, radical thoughtlessness, obedience as the highest virtue, cult of personality, anti-liberalism, anti-communism. This form of politics is a cancer. Hitler and his far-right politics are not a friend of white people or Germans. Hitler and his far-right politics are the enemy of all people, including whites and Germans. Far-right politics must be relegated to history. It must be defeated every time it rears its ugly head.